All right, we're live.
Yay.
Menopause, perimenopause. We hear those words all the time, but rarely understand the difference. Hello, and welcome to this month's EngErotics live stream. I am Jackie Mick, Chief Marketing Officer at EngErotics, and I will be your awkward host today. This month, we're breaking down what's actually happening inside our bodies, why no one prepared us for it, and how to move through it with more clarity and self compassion. Our vibe is curious, smart, a little sassy, but more than anything, grounded in real life and real bodies. If something resonates, explore more at engerotics.com. Let's get into it. Today, I'm joined by the leadership team behind EngErotics. We're going to keep it simple this week or this month, and I say that every month, but when I introduce you, when you hear the word perimenopause or menopause, just kind of give me your reaction. All right, so we'll start with Raven, our founder and CEO. How's it going? What's your feels about those words?
I just I don't think there's enough cuss words that I can to describe, but it's awful. It's awful. I can't speak for everybody, but I've been having like challenging times. So yes.
All right, and then we have Heather, our COO and formulation specialist. How's it going for you?
Um, yeah, just kind of, it's challenging. It's really challenging to navigate. Yeah.
All right. And then we have Amanda, our sexologist and CBD researcher. You're the youngest of us. So how's it go? Well, you have an interesting situation. How's it going for you?
I am I'm an observer of this. I am the researcher. I can say that I learned a lot this month with all the research and writing that I did around perimenopause and menopause. So yeah, it's been a joy to learn more about.
And I am Jackie, as I said before, I am the CMO, and I am also the oldest member of our team. And for me, I started noticing it about 4 or 5 years ago when I was in my early to mid 40s. And the worst part about it for me is it feels like there's days during the month where my brain is owned by a completely different entity that is not part of the rest of me.
Mhm.
The
Yeah.
tea. Yeah, that's tea.
Also, I wanted to say hello to Marla, who is watching live with us.
Oh, hi, Mom. Oh my gosh. I knew my mom would. Marla is my mom, y'all. I knew my mom would hop on for this one. That's awesome. Yay.
Yeah, it makes me happy. Okay, so like Raven, you've been really vocal about this lately. When did you first notice that things were changing for you? This is like
Oh,
second puberty, honestly.
yeah, I was not prepared. I was not prepared at all. I started noticing changes probably, let's see, I'm going to be 40 on Monday for
Ooh, happy
reference.
birthday.
Thank you. Thank you. My birthday month has not gone anything like I'd expected, but that's okay. Probably when I was about 36, 37, somewhere in there. And it was really difficult because at the time I was training in martial arts, and I was menstruating twice a month. And I no longer do that anymore, but it was like I was like in the dojo 2, 3, 4 days a week, and doing my normal gym routine, like just trying to feel normal. So I'm doing all this stuff and I'm just like not feeling all that great. But yeah, I started noticing my initial symptoms like 36, 37. It started with
Wow.
really weird ass periods, and then came the sweating at night, the night sweats. And I don't mean like a little like glossy glisten, like, oh, I'm hot. I'm like soaking through my pajamas, like I'm leaving a wet spot on the sheets. I've got to put a towel down, change my pajamas. I got to like lift up my titties to dry underneath. Like it was just awful. And that was just the start. So yeah, mid 30s for me. And everybody starts early in my family. That's the other thing. Like the ladies in my family tend to go through this early because my mom had an experience in her 30s, and I'm sure it was a lot of fun, so sarcasm, though, sarcasm.
Like what did your parents, or I assume it was our moms that talked to us about it or didn't talk to us about it, for however the cases may go. Like what did you know about it before you started experiencing it?
I don't think I knew. I don't think I knew much of anything. Actually, my mom and I talked about this because I was going through it and I was on the phone with her. I'm like, why didn't you tell me? Like, but I don't think that, like, I can't blame my mom, because it's like it's different for everybody. And I did watch my mom go through this. And so like for real, she had some hard times. And it was really rough on her, and she was in survival mode a lot. And so like I see a lot of like what she went through and what I am going through now. So I mean, fortunately there's enough resources where I can learn. Like, we have a lot more education than we knew what to do with before. And even if like maybe my mom had sat down and said, okay, like, here's your second puberty talk, we really didn't have the research that we did now. Like, let's say she talked to me about it when I was 25. Well, like during that time, there was still a lot of fear around hormone replacement therapy, and everybody thought that, you would get cancer or whatever. So even if I would have had like some sort of education on perimenopause, like in my teens, in my 20s or whatever, it probably wouldn't have been what it is now, what we now know to be true. And that's really not, it's not my fault. It's not my mom's fault. It's not anybody's fault. It's just like how things go. So, in conclusion, like, I'm out here doing like what I'm doing the best I can with the tools I have. And, and I don't know about y'all's parents, but, my mom was doing the best she could with the tools that had at the time. But the good thing is that, my mom has a lot of empathy for what I'm going through. So even though we didn't have we had many sex talks, like for, puberty and everything, even though we didn't really have like, this is perimenopause and, like blah, 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 welcome to second puberty. There was a lot of like my mom telling me, yeah, I remember what that was like. And my mom has told me several times, Raven, there was a time where I only had one good week a month, just one good week a month. Like, I understand. And it was just like, like, so how did my mom understand, like, even though I don't really know what's going on, and there wasn't like a second puberty talk, like just like knowing that, okay, I'm talking to somebody who I watched go through it, and she went through it and she survived it, like truly survived it. That means the world. It means the world. So, that's what it is. So, I mean, no shade on our moms who, because, they didn't, like they didn't have much to work with. The generations prior didn't have much to work with. And the science hadn't yet like caught up to like, there was a lot of myth and misconceptions. So
yeah, science even nowadays barely cares about women's bodies. It's better, but
yeah.
Like, they only started testing tampons with blood like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Like, and my experience was pretty much completely different than yours, in the fact that my mom basically just did whatever she could to hide whatever was happening with her and take it out on the kids. And mostly me, because my mom lifted up my brother like he was some kind of god. So I didn't know anything about it. I learned, as I learned a lot of stuff from television and movies, and what I saw about ladies of premenopause and menopause age was that through a husband's lens. So we saw a nagging wife. We saw a woman who was a bitch. We didn't give any grace or any understanding to what was actually going on with the women, because all that mattered when I was growing up was the men's experience and how they experienced the world.
Yeah.
So
we all know now that Peggy Bundy was going through perimenopause. Like, we like Married with Children, like all of that sort of comedy. Like, oh my God, my wife, like, my wife, like she wants to have sex again, or she doesn't want to have sex at all, or she blah, 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 blah. Like, like
Al Bundy was lucky to be having sex with Peg.
He really was.
She was a piece, and he should not complain about it.
She was. She looked so like her hips and her figure and her her leggings and her belt and always wearing heels. I didn't know looking back, like what the hell was wrong with Al Bundy? He didn't,
Yeah.
that's that reminds me of one of my favorite episodes. It didn't age well, but I'll tell you about that later.
We're talking about it now. Talk about it now.
But Heather and Amanda haven't talked about how they're moms, and let them talk first, and then I'll
Okay.
Okay, go.
I mean, I guess so. My experience is a little bit different because I lost my mom before going through perimenopause. So I have a really good friend of mine who I love dearly, who is a few years older than I am, and she's like, "Hey, heads up, this is coming." And I was like, "Okay, like I will keep that in mind for later." And she's like, "No, not later." I'm like, "Now, think
Soon,
about this." And so I actually had a really interesting experience where my primary doctor, for me, it was more emotional and mental disturbances, not so much the physical symptoms, because no matter what, I cannot get my body to stop having a period every 28 days, more or less. So whatever, it does its own thing. But I started to have symptoms with my skin, and my dermatologist was like, "Hey, this is usually hormonally based." And I was like, "Yeah, I don't have time for that right now. I will deal with that later." And then, my friend's words kind of clicked together, and I went, "Wait a minute. Yep, this is relevant." So it's been a journey. I've been on hormone replacement therapy for almost 2 years now. And it's been hugely life-changing. But the journey to get it was something else. I was not expecting it to be that difficult because everything else, you go through puberty, it's like, oh, here's tampons, here's pads, here's menstrual cup. Let's teach you about your body. And this is you have to fight and do a lot of talking to people that and getting resources. And like Raven was saying, a lot of those resources are either not talked about or are out of date. And so getting relevant information that you can actually take to your doctor and say, "No, I want a solution. This isn't good enough," is a whole other thing.
Yep.
And getting a doctor to believe and or listen to you is also an extra challenge that we have as women.
Yeah, absolutely. And so when I was going through this, because a lot of the symptoms back up, a lot of the symptoms are different for everybody, right? Like Raven's experience is different from mine, experience from Jackie, and that's okay. But I was dealing with a lot of stress at the time too. And so my doctor's like, "Well, we can try an antidepressant." And I was like, no, that's not what's going on here. That's not what I'm asking about. And getting my hormones back in balance has just been life-changing. And I didn't go down the antidepressant path, and I'm glad, because it wouldn't have worked for me personally.
It would have probably just temporarily been a mask.
Right, exactly. It just masks the symptoms and not actually treats the problem. So
yeah. What about you, Amanda?
Well, me and all my experience. So as I said before, I had a hysterectomy when I was in my 20s. However, I do still have my ovaries, so I did not go into menopause. However, after the hysterectomy, I found out that it is common or possible for your ovaries, even though that they were left, they could either stop working temporarily or go into overdrive. Similarly to what happens during perimenopause. So after the hysterectomy, I actually was having menopausal symptoms due to my ovaries going haywire. One of those was horrible night sweats. And it wasn't, I like how they call it night sweats. That's a real cute way of saying night flooding.
Yeah.
It was insane. Just like Raven said, I was also waking up, drenched, hair wet, clothes wet. And it's not pleasant to wake up in the middle of the night with wet clothes, and now you're shivering because, and I had to wake up in the middle of the night to change my pajamas. So I only got a taste of it, and the taste that I had was bitter.
It was enough. You know, like-
It was enough. I will still have or go through menopause in the future. Due to the hysterectomy, it could be sooner than it would have been before. But we'll see. We'll see what happens with that.
it really sucks. I mean, I don't. It really sucks. Like if
Mhm.
I could like take off my skin and undress myself down to my skeleton, I would, because it's like you can only take off so many clothes, like, you know. And I've spent all kinds of money on sheets, cooling sheets,
Same.
cooling pajamas, all kinds of stuff. And I'm on hormone replacement therapy now. It's made a world of difference. It's not an instant fix. I haven't been on it for nearly as long as you, Heather. It'll be a year in June, so I'm still trying to find my stride in figuring out where the balance is, because it seems like for me, like everything's great and I feel like I'm 25 again and I have all this energy, and then it's like everything like just stops working, and then we have to like readjust. But progesterone capsules, estrogen patch, and estrogen cream are what I'm using. And yeah, like all the ladies on all the 90s sitcoms that their husbands were complaining about, they were going through perimenopause,
Mhm.
and their husbands did not fucking understand. Like,
No, or care.
poor Peggy Bundy, you know, she like, so. Oh, my
Well-
story, speaking of Peggy Bundy, my story, the episode that came to my mind was so Peggy was like on this radio show, and like she was trying to win some money. And in order to win like the $100 or whatever, she had to convince Al to come home for a nooner. Like he had to leave his work at the shoe store and come home in the middle of the day for sex. And Al, for whatever reason, doesn't know what a nooner is. He thinks it's food. Like that's like the running gag. Like he wants Peggy to cook. And so he's really excited because Peggy's invited him home for a nooner, and he's like, I'm gonna go home and get me some nooner. And he's like offering other people, like, let me bring you back some nooner, like. And so I don't know why that episode sticks out in my mind more than the others. Like I guess it's like because like like it kind of like reminds me that sex drives are weird, like where I'm at. And it's like, yeah, like, yeah, I'm home in the middle of the day all day long with my husband. We work from home. Like we're in each other's orbit all the time. And I'm like, how come it's not like nooner every single day? Like how come it's like, how come it's not like what it was in my 20s? And like I kind of think about that because like, Al is like food and no sex, and Peg is like, well, I guess it really wasn't about the sex. It was about winning the money. So
Yeah.
I don't know. In conclusion, Peggy was like, all over the place because she was in perimenopause. It wasn't her fault. It wasn't her fault.
Well, I think a lot about the way that women were portrayed in those times of their lives in like the 80s, the 90s, and probably even the early 2000s, and how that shaped like the way young women grew up and how they acted. Because I'm autistic. I was very impressionable when it came to TV and movies and books, and that's because I didn't really have a lot of female parental guidance in a positive way that wasn't just about landing a man and getting out of the house. And so like I really internalized all of the things that men said to women on television and masked anything that would be considered naggy or, anything like that. And that really kept me from like setting my own boundaries and being the person that I really should be. And I'm glad that, it took me way too long to get there. And I wish I would have gotten there when I had my daughter living with me, but it is what it is. And she's a cooler human being than I will ever be and has a much better sense of self. So I'm thrilled with that. But like, I don't know that people really understand how much they internalize from the world around them and the way like little naggy things, little complainy things affect other people.
90s was a wild time, y'all. It was
We were so mean.
it was wild. Oh my gosh. Oh man. The
I think
90s.
about how mean we were all the time. Like ragging on your friends was like a way to show love, and it just makes me uncomfortable. It always has.
Yeah, yeah. And of course, like, none of us like there were like my mom is very progressive. She was raising me to be sex positive before sex positive was being called sex positive. I was like in religious schools, like learning about Jesus, and like they were talking about pro-life, and I'd come home and I tell my mom about that, and my mom's like, yeah, we don't do that here, like we're definitely pro-choice. I'm like, okay. So like my mom was and is very progressive, and so that's why like I came out of the gate like knowing a lot more than my peers about sex and like the first little bit of sex. And then what I really wasn't prepared for, I should have been born in the I don't know if I would have been born in the 70s. I don't know if I would have gotten a degree. I think there's just like too much stuff in the culture I would have been into in the 70s, and I don't know if I would have been able to buckle down and study. But I came out of the gate knowing a lot about like the first bit of my life as a young adult and everything. But when I hit 36 and I'm like sweating at night and I'm menstruating twice a month, and I feel like a completely different person. Like that's the thing, it's like, who am I? Like who am I? And what the hell happened? And why did this man marry me? Like, was he aware that I was an ogre the entire time? Have I always been this way? Like, and I've actually talked to him about it. I'm like, okay, like be real with me. Like, was I terrible when we met? He's like, no, but it's like, you really don't feel like you. You really don't feel like you. It like, it kind of felt to me like I was missing out on my own life at times.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't like I wasn't finding enjoyment, but it was so frustrating because nobody was listening. Like, my doctor was trying to prescribe me antidepressants and birth control. And, I think what was another one? Holistic care, acupuncture. Like, oh, do you have a therapist? Yes, I definitely do have a therapist. Yes. And it was just really frustrating. Oddly enough, there was a male doctor that I went to go see, and oh gosh, I forgot what I was being screened for. But he works at the oncology center in Boulder. And it wasn't like a cancer thing. There was something else, like with like, I think it was iron levels, blood or whatever. But surprisingly, he was like the most understanding out of like all the rest of my doctors were women, and he was the most understanding. And he was like, I'm not really sure what's going on, but I can tell you that my wife is going through something similar. And so you might want to have a look. He was the one who suggested like maybe it was like menopausal type stuff. And I had been telling people, I think it's like perimenopause. Or like, no, you're in your 30s. You're too young. And I'm like, no, because like there's a history of this in my family. Y'all, I don't know. It was a lot.
I have a friend that's doing a good amount of research in this topic, but I don't know if y'all know, but COVID, and especially long COVID, is a huge factor in affecting your menopause and perimenopause. Like there's not a lot of research on it, but I have a friend, Bethany, who is a very good resource for like finding all of the studies and the research and gathering them together. And what she's been able to find is pretty damning, the way that like, because COVID apparently does something to the hormones that even if I've only had it once, but I can see a clear difference in what my brain did before and after. I like my forgetfulness, my mixing up MST and EST, like I always do. That it's a
lot of people do that though. I'm not trying to trivialize. I just don't want you to feel bad about like, So yeah, like.
Well, I think that's part of the issue. like there's a lot of overlap, right? There can be a
Mhm.
lot of things, with the hormonal shifts in particular, but that's also, COVID has that memory fog, that memory lapse. Stress has that effect
Mhm.
too. Like there's so many different things. And I think that's part of why like perimenopause is so difficult to navigate, is because it's dismissed as being all of these other things.
Yeah.
When two things can be true,
This is
Yeah.
true. I totally forgot about my hair appointment. It was scheduled for Tuesday morning, and I forgot about it because it was scheduled for a different time than my usual. And I'm a very consistent person. I'm booked out through like August to get yeah. Otherwise, you ain't going to get in to get your hair retightened. And I usually am there at 10 a.m. on like a Tuesday or a Thursday, but it's always 10 a.m. except for this time I scheduled at 8:30 because I'm like, oh yeah, you have a conflict. Let me schedule earlier. And I forgot. And I was like on track to be there at 10, on time at 10. And my hairstylist called me because she was concerned that I might be dead or something, because Raven done missed her hair appointment. So it was like 8:35 and she texted me and I missed the text. She's like, are you en route? And then like, I didn't see the text. And then she called me, my do not disturb was on. And I just happened to glance down to see that she called. It's 8:45. And I'm like, oh man, what's going on? I think there's something wrong. She thinks there's something wrong with me. Like something happened. And she's like, well, I just needed to, your appointment started 15 minutes ago. And I'm like, oh shit. And she's like, are you okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm okay. And she's like, okay, well, and I was just like, so, I mean, and I completely forgot. I would have showed up at 10 and we would have just looked at each other like, but I'm so grateful that she called though, because, one, like I was able to get rescheduled. I went yesterday at noon. I didn't miss that one. And two, there's at least like one person outside of my family who knows my habits well enough that they're going to sound the alarm. Because if I hadn't called her back, she may have called the police or my mom. So she would have had a search party. So yeah, the brain fog is real. And that's just like one example of several other things that I've forgotten. And I'm doing my best. Like I really am doing my best.
The best news that I've heard about brain fog though is that once you go through menopause, it goes away. And I cannot wait for that to be over. Because I will be thinking a word and a completely different word will come out of my mouth. And I'm like, I cannot explain why that just happened. That is not what I meant to say.
Yeah, I forget
infuriating.
The words for, I don't know. What's a good example? I think I was trying to something simple. I think it may have been a fork or something. I just couldn't find the word for what that very simple everyday object that I'm trying
Pointy
to
spoon.
Yeah, essentially. And I'm like having this conversation with my kids, and my no, it gets worse.
Oh no.
No.
That's not the news I wanted to hear.
Mom is not bringing the hope today. She's bringing the real.
But you know what? That's useful though, because I think we have this idealistic view, or if we have a view at all, that's, pulled from TV. And, fortunately, I think, those who are a little bit older are starting to talk about it a little bit more and setting those realistic expectations. But man, if you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
And that's not so fun of a surprise.
Yeah, I'm doing my best. Amanda, you're going to be just fine. Like I'm reaching out to you. Like I'm entering my 40s on Monday and I'm reaching like through the age veil down to you, down to 30, and my mom is like up here in her 60s. Like, I'll reach out if I got the energy today, but you'll be all right, but not it's like a generational thing. Like I try to like support, people who are younger than me because I've been where they are.
Yep.
But at the same time, then we have Jackie who's over here like holding my hand like through the computer screen, and she's like, "You're gonna be okay, you're gonna be all right." And then my mom's doing the same thing, And my mom is like really like as you can, very very blunt. She's like, "This is gonna suck. It gets worse. You're gonna be all right. You're gonna be okay."
I try to be really open and honest with Dee about the things that I'm going through, because I did not get that. I got any women's health issue should be a shame that you don't talk about. So I want my daughter to get the complete opposite thing than that.
Absolutely. There's so much shame and stigma associated with.
You know what? To speak to helping out young people, I've gotten so much help from young people in regards to like learning how to set boundaries and learning how to speak up for myself and stuff like that. Cause that's not something that my generation was taught as a woman, especially growing up in tiny town in Georgia where.
And quiet quitting. Quiet quitting. Like Gen Z, was Gen Z the one to do quiet quitting? And I'm like, what is this? We can do that? Like, and I think that all of us like probably had that thought sometime during our career, and we're just like, no, but I better stick it down, stick it out, and keep my head down, and stay loyal and everything. And because we're not like, I'm not far removed from Gen X, and Gen X is not far removed from the boomer generation.
Oh, I want to far remove myself all the way from the boomers. They're embarrassing. I need to let go of all of the power, please.
With the caveat that that's not always true. Like there's some really good boomers. And I think that having that open dialogue between the generations is such an asset of being able to say, hey, this was my experience. It's not going to be your experience. And that's not a bad thing. Or here are some pitfalls to look out for. Or here's some empowering decisions that, yes, you can set those boundaries and talk about things that you're not supposed to talk about.
Yeah.
And that's a huge asset.
It's and we shouldn't generalize the generations. I will say that one generalization that I've found to be true just about every single time is that us elder millennials, when we hear that first little bit of Juvenile's Back That Ass Up, everybody knows what song that is. Just that everybody knows what song that is. And there's like two types of people. Like there are people that are like, okay, I'm gonna sit this one out because it's gonna be too strenuous. And then there's like people like me who are like limbering up, trying
doing your stretches.
So, but I mean, I agree. I've learned so much from people who are younger than me. I learn a lot from my kids, and they're 10 and 7. Just listening to them talk to their friends and not really understanding what they just said. Like that's where I'm at. And, and so it takes effort, I think, to like, especially with them, like explain to them like why I'm feeling like an ogre that day, because I'm always really like open about it. And I don't want them to think that, like, well, mom's mad at me at something I did. I'm always like, it's not you. Mom is grumpy. Mom needs coffee. She needs a blanket. I'm having a hard time, but it's not you. And it's really challenging because it seems like just even like little things. I think, I don't know. I was short a stevia packet. We were all out of stevia and I only got one in my coffee. Mom still doesn't understand pig Latin. My brothers and I did that all the time,
oh my God, I made up my own languages because I didn't want me and my friend Billy made up our own languages, and I could probably still talk to him nowadays.
That's awesome.
We were weird.
The little things, like it's okay to be weird. I feel like I'm still the same weirdo that I was in middle school. Like just more money.
I saw something the other day that getting older and accepting yourselves just means loving the 14-year-old that you were at one time, like loving and accepting them. And that's really what it is. I've gone back to my weird middle school self, and I'm much happier than I ever was trying to be like a fake adult.
Yeah, a fake adult. I agree. I agree. And I try to keep that in mind because like one of the things that helps me get through this stage of life is just like reconnecting with the things that really, really bring me joy. And it doesn't really matter if anybody understands that or not. It doesn't matter. But if you think back to, middle school, high school, even like that first little bit of your 20s where you really just wanted, like, you wanted a social circle. This is not for everybody. But,
that's the town I grew up in.
It's like there's a lot of like, oh, I gotta like wear these shoes. I need to like wear the right outfit, have the right, because everybody's doing it and blah, 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 blah. And there's just like so much liberation in, I'm entering the fuck it 40s because fuck it. That's like, yeah, I'm entering, you know, fabulous 40s, fantastic 40s. It's really like the fuck it 40s. And I'm just like, you know, fuck it. You know, it's like there are things that I enjoy, there are things that I don't like, there are things I won't tolerate, and that's okay. And if there's a silver lining with perimenopause, it's that all the be nice hormone is starting to go away. You know, that's like that hormone that makes you want to like just kumbaya all the time and like, oh yeah, you know, it's like I don't have time for that at all. Like, oh, like you going through something? Like, okay, I'm also going through something, and you're gonna have to wait until I have bandwidth to, you know, and it sounds very harsh. And it's not necessarily delivered like that, but there's a sense of realness and honesty with yourself that you have, so you're not like managing everybody else constantly.
Well, and that goes back to your boundaries too. And you know, and speaking of generations, like we're talking about, you know, the younger, like Gen Z has a better handle on setting boundaries. And I think in general, like our generation never was really taught that boundaries are to be respected and to be set. It's, you know, that's a tough one, but that whole idea of, yeah, my feelings are important too. My boundaries are important too. I can respect you, but have a higher respect for myself at the same time.
Yeah. Like, you know, family loyalty and everything. And it's like, you know, you got to show up to Thanksgiving and put up with everybody's bullshit because, you know, family, you know, do you guys remember like the More You Know star that that's like what came to mind. And, you know, and it's like, you know, you don't have to do that. And, you know, it's like I have my own family. We have our own traditions. I'm deeply committed. I'm, you know, I shout out to all the women out there that are, you know, getting it in, you know, with somebody out there. That was funny. I don't even remember what I was saying. Oh yeah, like we, you know, it's like you don't have to put up with things like that. And I feel like, you know, if I could say that there's a silver lining to this phase of life, it's that, you know, recognizing like, okay, I got to take care of me. And I have to take care of me because I have my kids to take care of. Like, you know, I want to be, you know, as good a mom as I can be and as good a partner. Yes, when you're raised by people with no boundaries, it's hard to learn them or even know it's an option.
Yes.
You know, it's like, yeah, because this is like a generational thing, you know? So it's like, I learned about quiet quitting from Gen Z and I'm like, well, shit, I'm on the entrepreneurial path. Like, let me go get a job so I can quiet quit it. So I can have that experience, you know, like, let me try it because I wish that I would have had the nerve, but there was a lot that I put up with in my career that I didn't necessarily need to, you know. Yeah. But I look at my daughter, my little Scorpio, and listen, like, y'all will see her coming. Like, adulthood ain't even ready for her. Like, I am just so excited for her to be bigger, bolder, braver, more courageous than I ever could have envisioned. Like, I'm like speaking that over her as, you know, a fledgling woman. And I'm so excited. And I like see it in her already. One thing that my daughter has zero tolerance for, and she's 7, don't you interrupt her. If she's speaking, she's going to reclaim her time. Like Maxine Waters, she will reclaim her time. Okay. And if she is saying something and you got it, you're like, she will just raise her volume until you shut up.
That's amazing.
And it's kind of like in Black Panther where, you know, they're trying to talk to the Jabari tribe and they just barked at him until he shut up. It's like that. And, you know, and for a minute I kind of sat with that and I was like, let me just leave that because I can't tell you how many times as, a young professional, I was talked over in meetings, interrupted at meetings, or I would put out a really damn good idea and it would get glossed over. And then Joe Schmo at the end of the boardroom table would say the same damn thing. And then they were ready to throw a party for him.
That would happen to me all the time. And it would make me like viscerally angry to the point where I started calling it out. Like,
it's enraging.
It is infuriating.
I'm so happy that, younger generations are, implementing things that, that really I'm still learning. I'm learning it because I'm trying to teach the kids.
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time, I'm like, learning from the youth, like what all the things are and yada, yada, yada. So, I mean, and I feel really comfortable in that because like at nearly 40, perimenopause, like all the be nice hormone is, and I like be nice, not be kind, like nice and kind are two different things.
Yep.
Two different things. I don't feel like, so obligated in ways that I did before. And I'm going to do my thing and I'm going to fight the good fight and I'm going to be on the right side of whatever it is and operate in integrity. And sometimes when you do that, people get uncomfortable, but guess what? That's a them problem.
Well, I think a lot of it too comes from like, I'm realizing like whose ideals am I upholding when I'm letting people walk all over my boundaries? Like, who am I doing that for? Like, who taught me that? Why did they teach me that? What does it serve? And as I dismantle all of these things that don't serve anything but like capitalism or their own selves, I start thinking about what serves me and act accordingly. And it's really hard. It's really hard.
Well, it teaches you to prioritize others above yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's important. Sometimes others are more important than the self, but that doesn't mean that you as a person don't matter too.
Absolutely. We matter. That's why we're on this discussion. Like we matter. Yeah. And, and it's really comforting to talk about this because like for a while, I didn't even realize that it wasn't really talked about. Like I talk about it with my friends and with my mom. And really, if I'm being honest, my mom was really the only person in my world who understood because she had like, I watched her go through it and I've like talked to my husband, about this, like, my mom had a really hard time and it was a struggle. And she was really the only person in my immediate vicinity who I could describe what it was. And my mom would be like, yeah, that makes sense. The doctors didn't get it. People who weren't going through it didn't get it. And at one point I was like, crying on the phone to my mom about like, do I need to have a hysterectomy? Like, I don't know what to do. And I mean, ultimately, and here's my question for you guys, because I don't know how you guys found care and healthcare for this, but I found it online. Like I went to the internet. I was like, okay, like I had to get my healthcare from the internet. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. Snaps, tea, whatever it is. Like, how did you guys find your hormone replacement therapy or whatever it is you're doing? Because
I still cannot afford it.
Oh man.
Yeah. So I'm just raw dogging it out here.
Shit. My gosh.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's expensive.
Oh.
We just bought a heart.
Does EngErotics need to like start a fund? Because sadly, we live in an age where you're not the only one that's the reality.
I would say I'm the majority, in fact.
Shit. That's rough, Jack.
So many of my friends also can't afford it. Like, it's hard out here to be a grown-up woman.
And for me, like mine's covered by insurance, and I'm grateful for that. But I had to have it prescribed as a medical necessity. And so getting that to go through was a whole other thing. It probably took, I don't know, 6 to 8 months of visits. And it was a lot of, well, you got to talk with your primary first, and then you've got to be referred out to a specialist, and then the specialist has to do tests. And then they have to decide, which by the way, blood tests, like that's pretty standard, but it's not really that useful to my understanding. So, and so then you have to have so then you have to have all these tests done. And then finally, if your symptoms are severe enough, then they can prescribe it. So like mine's actually really affordable through my insurance, but how the hoops that I had to jump through in order to get that after being ignored and being told it's not your hormones, you're too young, and all of this stuff. So it's really finding that key provider, which for me was my dermatologist. I am forever grateful to him. He was, and it's wild, but like his thing of saying, this is hormonally based. And then that was the key that unlocked everything else for me.
The hoops is another part of it. When I had good insurance and was going to the doctor regularly and had terrible periods, I went to my doctor and I was like, hey, can we do something to make this better? And maybe this was even part of early perimenopause with me, now that I think about the age that I was. And the only thing that they did to me was scrape my cervix with no painkillers and tell me I had endometriosis. And when I think, like, it was awful to go through. And then when I think about like what they physically did to me without offering me any painkillers, any numbing beforehand, like they wouldn't do that to a man.
No, if men went through perimenopause, like you'd be getting HRT like Halloween candy or something.
Yeah. Like it's wild how much there is that you can get inexpensively to fix a limp dick, but actual issues that we're dealing with.
What about you, Amanda? Like, was your care, like, did you do any hormonal stuff, or did you have to do any of that? Or like, how did you go about finding care after your hysterectomy or even before?
Since the plan was to keep my ovaries, I did not get much information. I did a lot of like hysterectomy research, but during this conversation, something that I just like unlocked out of my black hole was I totally forgot that when, before I had the hysterectomy, just like Heather, what you were saying, that you have to do certain things before they approve anything. And I never wanted to just go straight for a hysterectomy, right? Like I tried everything under the sun to fix my pain and everything. And one of the things that they kept pushing was a medication that actually induces you into menopause. And they offered that medication multiple times. That's what they were like pushing. Cause at this point, like no birth control. I tried them all. None of them was working. And I remember being like 22 years old and they were like, well, we can give you this medication to induce you into menopause. And I was like, really? Like that's my option. There's nothing else we can look at, consider. And I look back and I'm like, dang, I can't imagine how things would be different on if I would have started menopause, medically induced menopause at 22 years old. And so I think that's crazy.
Yeah. It's insane how many hoops people have to jump through. Like I said before, I went to Google and I was like, perimenopause treatment. I think that's what I Googled. And that's when I discovered, you've probably heard, this is not an ad, y'all. I'm not an affiliate, but companies like MIDI Health and Winona. There's another one called Pandia Health. I'm actually Facebook friends with their CEO on Facebook. So I saw like a number of different companies. And so I did a Google search and I went to Reddit. Reddit is like the whole
Reddit is the new Google.
That is like, if I need to know the real on something, I'll type whatever that is and then Reddit. And then I'll go read about it and see what other people's experience was. So I ended up going with MIDI Health, and because they take insurance, and it was surprisingly easy once I got going with them, because they didn't ask to talk to my primary. They didn't ask to talk to my gynecologist. Like I did the questionnaire. I had an appointment with a nurse practitioner and I said, here's the deal. I was like, pulled out my notes from like the previous 2 years. I said, this is what I've gone through. This is what I'm going through. And they're like, yeah, that sounds like early perimenopause to me. And a blood test isn't going to tell you that. And here's why, and it's like, because hormones fluctuate throughout the month. So the next thing I know, and then I have a prescription for progesterone and an estrogen patch. And I'm like, what even is this? And so to add to that, and this isn't going to matter so much because I'm turning 40, but I started having mammograms at like 36. And I always had to advocate for myself to get my mammogram because you can't just like go get one.
Yeah.
And so last year, my nurse practitioner like wrote me a thing so I could get my mammogram. And she's like, you're going to need now, and mind you, like at the time, my nurse practitioner was another Black woman. And she's like, yeah, like there's increased risk there. Like, let me write you this referral so you can get your mammogram, no problem. And it was fine. So I'm really thankful that I found that. Nobody told me. I was desperate. I went to the internet. It's like, how else do you find answers? Like the internet. And that's how I discovered like, oh, okay, well, I guess I'm going to get my medical care from this internet company, but it worked and it continues to work. I think a lot of women don't know about vaginal dryness and vaginal atrophy. And that can be interesting because there are a lot of women who confuse those for yeast infections because of irritation and everything. And, and I didn't know that until like my follow-up, with MIDI. And they're like, yeah, that's vaginal atrophy. And I'm like, oh, great. Okay. Now my vagina is turning to dust. Okay, great. Like, how do we fix it? It's just, it's like, I had to go find my own answers, and it's not like my mom knew because there wasn't any telehealth.
Yeah.
Like I'm telling my mom, I was like, Mom, I got on the internet and they gave me a prescription. She's like, what? That's a thing?
They take care of you now?
Yeah.
How have your relationships with your bodies changed like at this time in your life? While you're being quiet, I will say that I love my body more than I ever have. Like I look in the mirror and I'm happier with the way that I look than I ever have. And it's not the best by traditional standards. It's not the best body I've ever had. It was much younger when my husband was like pinching my barely there belly fat and saying, you would have such a hot body if you lost 15 more pounds. And I was tiny. Fuck him.
Yeah.
But now I look in the mirror and I'm like, man, Mickey is lucky. I look great. I am happy with this body. I'm happy with what it does for me. It's something that I was not expecting. I thought I would hate myself more as I got older.
Yeah, I think for me, also, I'm sorry that was your experience. That's awful. And I'm sorry.
He was terrible.
And yeah, it sounds like it. But you know what? That's not uncommon either.
No.
But that's icky.
Yeah.
But, for me, it was more respecting that it's a natural part of life and that it's a hormonal shift that is normal. It's not fun, but it's normal. And saying, okay, I need a little bit of extra self-care, more of like having its own entity and being respectful of my body's needs rather than the way that I think it should function or behave.
Yes. Huge. That's a huge difference.
What about you, Amanda? Or do you have one yet?
I mean, I how do I feel about my body going through menopause? Well, I'm not. I'm not.
Do you have anything to add?
Well, how do you feel about your body at this stage in your life, like versus when you were younger?
We all try to love ourselves and we all try to love the body that wakes up for us and lets us get places. And, this body carries me wherever I need it to go most days. I love my body a lot more now post hysterectomy, now that I'm not in pain, that I love my body. Like my body loves me now. If anything, I'm like, we can coexist together now. No one's like fighting for anyone's life over here like it was before. But yeah. Grow to love yourself more and more each and every day.
I agree. Yeah. I don't look like I did when I was 25 or 21. And that's okay. I am really into what my body looks like these days. And 26 was a good age for me too. You
I
know,
think it was for me too.
Oh God, I was really hoping you guys were gonna be like, you know what? I look the hottest at 32, and then I'd be
No,
like,
I was not at
yeah,
32
I
too.
haven't peaked yet.
I was
And-
drinking way too much in my 30s to be hot.
Honestly, I think I look better now and I'm more in shape now than I ever have been in my life. And I think that that is largely because like the focus is on being strong. And like I love weightlifting. I love I love CrossFit. Some people are like, yeah, she's in the I love CrossFit. High intensity interval training, whatever you want to call it. But weightlifting especially. And I'm just really amazed at all the things my body can do at nearly 40. And I feel like in a lot of ways I'm not the norm because, I've got two kids. They're not grown. They're going to get there in a quick minute, but they're not grown. We're eyeball deep in all the activities. We got swimming, gymnastics, like all the things. Like we're busy. And so I realized that for a lot of people, like finding time for the gym is like there's just no way. And the gym is very much a part of like my day. It's like brushing my teeth. It's like taking a shower. It's a part of my lifestyle. It's not something that I do. It's something that, something that I just do to like, cause I have to, it sustains me. It's for my mental health. And so like getting gains at the gym, because #gains. Okay. And discovering that I've gotten stronger is really, really, really encouraging. Just so you guys know, like I have like on my 40th birthday, I told my son who's 10 and wears the same size shoe as me. Like he walks around the house wearing my shoes because he can. I want to recreate this photo of him, like holding him on my hip. And so when I was 30, like I have this photo of him on my hip when he was a baby. And I was like, I want you to do this photo with me, but I'm going to hoist you up, like all 70, 75 pounds of you. He's like, why do you want to do that? And I was like, because I can, and I know that a lot of people are not able to do that. So it's like, no, I don't look like I did when I was 25, but I really love how I look now, which is cool. So,
Yeah, I also am more proud of what my body can do for me now than I ever have been in my life because I do more with it. I feel like before I feel like I was just putting my body through it. And now I'm kind of treating it nice.
Yeah, that self-care for real. Like speaking of self-care, I know we got like just a few, we haven't even touched on, like the soothing stuff, like, like holistic care, the look all around my head here. We haven't even touched on that. We can in the future, but really taking that time out to really care for self and care for your body. Cause my body doesn't work like it did when it was 25 either. I have to take extra care with like my knees and my hips, especially because of all the sports, like warming up, stretching. Like, yeah, I lift heavy. I lift really, really heavy. Not as heavy as some people, but I lift heavy and I will hurt myself if I don't take the time. Oh, thank you. Thanks, Mom. Yeah, thanks. But I look like you, so.
She's just complimenting herself.
Yeah. Yeah, I have to take the time to really warm up and stretch. Otherwise, I tried to do a cartwheel in the gym. It was part of the workout, and I don't know what I did, but I was out for the rest of the workout.
Really?
For real.
That makes me scared because I feel in my heart that I could still do a cartwheel and was going to try it the next hot day, but now I'm afraid to.
It took me some courage. Like, yeah, it was part of the workout, doing the cartwheel. And I don't know what I did, but it was just, I felt that little twang and it went all the way down to my foot. And I was like, that's enough for today. No, thank you.
Last Friday, I took myself to the symphony and then walked around Detroit for just the rest of the day and would have kept walking longer. But then there was a point in the day that my feet started hurting. And I'm like, well, nope, I can't go on or I'm going to be miserable for 3 days after. And I wouldn't have made that decision before. I would have just kept going. So I was very proud of myself.
I feel like down the road, I know we've been doing these monthly, like it's almost we've been here for almost an hour and we got to go. But I feel like this is such an important topic and there's so many more things that we could talk about. Like, I really, really do feel that we should probably think about squeezing in, a special session at some point, because there are a lot of people who need the support. And even if it's not like, we're not giving medical advice, y'all.
Yeah, we're just,
but just to like be like among people that, to hear like your experience reflected, I think that's important. And watch out for the cartwheels though. Like,
all right.
yeah,
Cartwheel warning to everybody.
Yeah. I'm not recommending, like, if you do it, do so at your own risk. I work out religiously, and it even took me out. So take that with for what it's worth.
All right. Is there anything else that we want to say before we wrap up here?
Gosh, hang in there. I mean, like, you are not alone. You are not alone. You are not alone.
No.
And I feel like this is so healing to be able to talk about it. Like, it means a lot to me to talk about this with all of you. Because it makes me feel like I'm in good company and that I'm going to get through it. And even though things suck, there are other people who are like, yep, that sucks. And we can all agree that it sucks. So
yeah. Amanda, I don't want to put you on the spot too much, but my brain cannot remember. What are we talking about next month?
Girl, I don't remember either. Don't put me on the spot like this.
That's a topic for next month.
And I can't even do it.
I normally have like a note with it.
Just kidding. It is a secret. Stay tuned.
Okay, it's a top secret. If you want to know what it is, you're gonna have to come back next month.
Subscribe to the newsletter.
Yes, that's great.
Yeah, because I don't know either. I forgot.
I bet it's something good.
All of our brains are going through things, so it makes sense. Okay, so this feels like a good place to pause. Nothing about this phase in our life is wrong, y'all. It is just a transition. The more we understand our bodies, the better we can support them. If you're ready for more comfort and care, visit EngErotics.com and explore what speaks to you. I think a lot will speak to you. Yes. And read the blog too. Amanda does really, really amazing work on the blog. Make sure you're subscribed.
Anal April.
Oh, Anal April.
Anal April.
Anal April.
How did I forget Anal April? I don't know. I told you it was good.
Join us here next month.
Yes.
Anal April.
Yes.
Okay.
Subscribe to us on YouTube. Sign up for the newsletter. And shop with us because we have really cool stuff.
We do. And we have even cooler discussions, which I really love. So
yes, this was a lot of fun, even though it was about not a sad topic. It's not a fun topic, but we had fun.
It transitioned perfectly into Anal April.
Yeah.
Which I know everybody's excited about.
I'm honestly quite excited about it. I think it's going to be fun. You're going to have to rein me in from saying butt stuff all the time.
We will be talking about butt stuff. And I mean, we could even sneak some more perimenopause stuff in there too, as well, because I think that that's applicable. So yes, tell all your friends that Anal April is happening.
It's on coming
YouTube,
up.
right here. Heather, is there anything you want to tell people about either perimenopause or Anal April? You pick.
Perimenopause, just, respect your body, respect your journey. It's hard, especially when society tells us that we shouldn't do that, but it's important.
Yes. Yeah. Agreed.
All right. That's a great place to end. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, guys.